So I have questions to ask, as you know. And the first question I would actually want to know is, how and when did you know this was your calling, like art? What was the point of aspect which told you that, yes, this is what I want to do, what I want to pursue?
That's a great question. I've actually been an artist all of my life. I won awards in high school for copper etchings and things. And then probably over the last 25, 30 years, I've been doing watercolor painting. Plus, I've been a professional vocalist for 40 years. But I think that old stigma around creativity and art, making money around doing what you love, really affected me. And so I'm pretty sure I pushed my art to the side, because I thought, well, I can't do it as a business. Nobody cares about my art. Maybe my art stinks. I don't know. And so I started painting a few years ago after I lost my house to wildfire in 2007 in San Diego. I lost all my paintings, all my artwork, everything. And at the prompting of my daughter, about a year later, I started to paint again. But recently the watercolor wasn't really lighting me up anymore. It's so small and everything. And so I just really felt like I had this intuitive idea or notion or download, whatever you want to call it, to do something bigger, bolder, something really, abstract. And I had a knowing about it. Like at 62, it took me this long to really come into my knowing that, hey, art is valuable. Creativity is something everybody needs to do. And I'm going to follow my heart and my passion. And that's where I am right now.
That's so great. How did you deal with the loss of all your paintings and losing your house mainly?
That was hard.
I'm sorry if that bothers you.
Yeah, I mean,
you cannot answer as well.
No, I mean, just it, it was difficult. I've had a lot of challenges in my life, and losing everything is weird because it's kind of like you feel like you're losing your identity almost, because everything that you had, all my music, all my stuff that I had done over the last 40 years as a musician, professional musician, and then all my artwork. And my mom had just sent even the artwork that I had done when I was younger, because she was getting older, and she's like, I'm going to send it to you in California so you have it. And it all burned up. And it was a process of grieving, letting go of everything. But I almost felt like, because I'm very spiritual, I almost felt like the universe, God, whatever you want to call that energy, was saying, okay, this is the old. We're wiping that away. And now we have this empty space for something new. I'm getting goosebumps as I say it. So sometimes we have to look at loss as a good thing, and that it's opening up space to create something new. And that's what I really felt was true. But I have to say, as a human being, it was very difficult to let go.
No, must have been. I mean, I can't imagine even go through that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, some people go through worse things than that, but it is personal to each person, and it's hard for each person,
Totally
so, because it's stuff, we're attached to our stuff. So.
And I mean, it's those things that matter also at times. The littlest and smallest of things that matter at times.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, again, my book behind me, talks about all those, we call them turning points, really, about how we grow and change. And if we follow our intuition, and if we really tune in to what's happening in the moment, again, even both my parents are gone. That was so extremely hard. But again, we have to remember, love never goes away, right? They always carry our love with us, and vice versa with them. And also, when we lose something we love, or when we lose anything, my personal experience is that again, I keep saying this, but it's really important for people to get the concept that when something goes away, something new comes in, some energy, new space. So, and as I get older, of course, you'll learn this because you're so young, and you're so smart and everything, but it's like, as you have children and you experience loss and you have all these things, the more important things matter more than, they always say, don't sweat the small stuff, let go of the small stuff. So I think it's just a journey. It's a gradual journey of figuring out what matters most and following that.
I totally agree with that.
Yeah.
Super deep. And I mean, yeah. All right. So, what, in your opinion, in your language, in your words, would you really call a work of art to be successful? It could be good for everybody to each its own, but to be successful, what is your definition of that?
Yeah, that's a great question. You're so smart. I wish
Thank
I was
you.
that smart when I was 17 or 16, almost 17. I think when it comes to creativity and art, I think that we have to look at success in a different way. You know, the world views success as us making money and fame and fortune and, you know, making it big. But when you are able to do what you're passionate about, like I've been coaching, you know, after I left singing, I was coaching for about 8 years and I was good at it, but it didn't really light me up. And so I wasn't enjoying my life. And so it's kind of like when you align with what is true to you. I'm a creative. I am a creative. I don't want to have anything to do with business, really. Just want to paint and create. And so when you allow yourself to believe that you are as good as everybody else, right? And that you can do, there are a lot of people selling art out there. So to have that concept of you can't sell your art and you're not successful is just a belief. You have to actually ask yourself the question, is that really true? No, because there are people out there making millions of dollars. There are also people making a lot of money who don't even look at themselves as being successful. They just are doing what they love. They're passionate about creating, you know? And so I think success, you have to really define it for yourself. For me at 62, I would love to sell more of my paintings, and that's where I'm moving. And I would love to share the idea that creativity is something everyone needs in their life, you know, especially adults, to get out of the stuffy adult syndrome. So to me, success looks different. I'm content. I'm comfortable. I'm not looking to climb any ladder or be famous or anything like that. I'm just very content doing what I love. And I feel successful because I'm finally doing what I love every day. And I'm actually making paintings for other people. So again, a great question, but I think the word success has different meanings to different people, maybe even at different phases in their life, right? Like say you're starting to do something that you're passionate about at say 20 or 22 or 25, your idea of success is going to be different than mine at my age. Does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So it's a great question.
Thank you. Like you mentioned previously, you work on watercolor arts as well. So what medium of art do you really like to do a lot? Or do you have any focus, like only one particular medium you work on?
Yeah, I love
What would
that
that
question.
be?
Thank you for asking it. Yeah. Well, I did watercolor for so many years. I told you I did copper etchings and I drew, with charcoal and pencil and stuff like that. But this latest thing, watercolor, I love it. I'm good at it, but it's so, you have to do really small. It's very, focused oriented. It's kind of tedious. And so when I started doing, I don't even know if I have one here I could show you, but anyway, you've seen them online probably. When I started doing, when I was introduced to, it's called flow painting or POUR, pour painting. It's paint that flows. I went crazy because it's so gorgeous and it's so unexpected and you can't control it. And so right now, my absolute favorite of all is the acrylic flow painting. That's what I do primarily.
That is also awesome. I did that last year once. And I mean, the variation and the possibilities there's no end to it.
There is no end to it.
You don't have to.
The thing that's cool is that when you step out of the way, like for me, because, we always try to control things, even in art, we try to control our art. And then I remember when my daughter was little and they had gotten rid of art in the schools. And so I was a parent who we came together as parents and we did art for the classes, parents teaching the kids. And I remember that the teacher graded my daughter's art and she got a really low grade. And my daughter was devastated. She was so devastated that she never did art again until just a few years ago when she started again. And she's really good. So I think we can't grade art. We can't give it any kind of, it's everybody's personal expression. And that's what's so beautiful about it. We don't want to control it, right?
Yeah. I mean, everybody has its own imagination, the creativity. So whatever destination, whatever boundaries you cannot attach that. Yeah.
No, right. Exactly. I mean, if you go to the Getty Museum in Los Angeles, I've seen paintings on the wall that look like a big round target, with a circle in the middle, and they bought it for like $10 million. And I'm like, what? That doesn't look like
Yeah.
art to me, but hey, somebody appreciated it. So anything goes.
Anything goes, absolutely.
Yeah.
And then, so like you face so many difficulties in life and hardships. What really helped you move on? I mean, do you any strategies you would like to tell, or to even make a time around the day when it's a dull day, something of that sort? I mean,
Great question. Great question.
what keeps you motivated on those days, especially?
Yeah. Well, I wish I would have learned this at a young age. First of all, I do a lot of grounding and centering, energy work, breathing, things like that, which really, because I'm a very hyper anxious person anyway. So that's really important. But I think that no matter how old you are, if you can get into a space of gratitude for what you have right now in this present moment, I know a lot of kids are your age are out doing crazy things because they just feel like they're going to live forever. And, because you're young, and you get to my age and it's kind of like we're coming to the end of our life, right? We have to start looking at that. But it's like, in reality, there is no past and there is no future. All we have is right now, right? We don't even know that we have the next 5 minutes, right? So getting into that state of present moment, what is it that I have right now? What do I have around me? I mean, if you have books and a roof over your head and you have food to eat, then I would say that's abundance. Like, a lot of people look at prosperity and abundance as being rich or something like that. But, you see these little kids in Africa dancing around a fire with no feet, shoes on their feet, and they're laughing and they're in joy. Like, how do they do that? Because they're not focusing on what they have and they don't have and what's happening in the world. They focus on where they are right now, who they're with. So if we can get into a state of gratitude for what's now. And I like to do a process too that is called future gratitude. I don't know if you've ever done that, but almost like pretending it's already happened. Like for me, I want a bigger studio for my artwork. And I'd love to be able to put my artwork in galleries and homes and things like that. And so I just do in a journal. I am so incredibly happy and grateful, that I have my own gorgeous studio, this huge studio where I can paint and do whatever I want. And, that people really love my artwork and I feel so satisfied. So you future pave it, like, what is it you want to achieve? And then see yourself as already having it, write it over and over, get into the feeling of it. And I'm telling you, I have seen miracles happen with people that do that on a regular basis. They don't do it once or twice because that doesn't do it. You have to generate the feelings. So I don't know about you, but I think gratitude is one of the biggest places anybody can start to create more and to create more of what you love, to attract more into your life.
I think what you're saying something is of the sort of manifestation, if I'm not wrong. To really
I mean, I don't focus on manifesting things like some people want to manifest a car or whatever. What I try to do is I try to elevate my vibrations, right? If we're in a state of depression or we're sad or we're angry or whatever, I have seen this. Some people don't believe in law of attraction. I only do because I've seen it happen. Like, I'll think about, I better not, walk down that street because I'm going to hit a bump and a crack in the sidewalk and I'm going to fall. And ultimately it'll happen. I mean, you've probably seen it in your own life, right? It's almost like magic. It's like, wow, I think about it, it happens. And so to me, that's proof enough that what we are, who we are, our vibrations, what they are, create. I've been around really angry people who've attracted people who want to beat them up. So if you're in a place of joy, which is what your art does, right? Your creativity, your passion, if you can be in gratitude, be in joy, elevate your vibrations, get into the space of, like, we have a puppy that's 8 months old, right? Everything that puppy sees is like, oh my gosh, it's new. It's like a little baby, right? You've never seen it. And as we get older, we just get jaded. We look at what's going on in the world and our mind starts creating stories, right? So I would just say, elevate your vibes, stay in a state of gratitude, and attract to you what it is that you would prefer.
I would really try to practice that. I mean, yeah. And another thing I wanted to ask was, you really look at things around you and then paint and then do your art? Like, is there some inspiration you take, look up to or something?
I love your questions. They're so insightful. Yeah, that's a great question, because when I used to do watercolor paintings, I would look for, like, I'd paint a hummingbird. So I'd find a picture of a hummingbird, or I'd take a picture of one or whatever, and then I would create from that space. But what I love about what I do now, and what I love about what so many people do, paintings, now watercolor, like I said, people that do paintings of still life, people, animals, whatever, they're spectacular. But for me personally, doing my artwork inspires me, letting go, learning to let go. But mine really comes from a space of trusting the divine, the universe, source. It's kind of like when I just did a couple of paintings for a coach that I was working with, and they were the biggest ones I've ever done. And so what I do is, instead of trying to think about it, what I do is I feel into that person's energy. I don't paint unless I feel inspired. If I'm having a bad day, or I'm in pain, or I'm sad, I don't paint, because I know that sadness, not that that's great therapy, by the way, if somebody wants to do that. But if you're going to give a painting to somebody, you don't want to infuse it with your sadness, right? And then what I do is I feel into their energy. I get colors in my head, like I should do this, this, and this. And then I pray over my canvases, every single one. And I just say, hey, whatever, this is for Jennifer, say, and whatever is best for her, whatever will infuse this with love, joy, high energy, prosperity, please let it come through me. And a lot of times when I do that, I get chills all over. And then I just lay it down on the paper. And a lot of times it does not come out the way I want it to, or expect it to. And then I have to learn to trust that whatever I got was exactly correct from the universe. So I really feel like I'm a co-creator with spirit, with the divine. That's how I do it.
It's so beautiful.
Oh,
It gave me chills.
Oh,
I've
it's
never heard
just
something
amazing.
of that. So it's all new and very, yeah.
Well, and the cool thing is, Ananya, is that, again, as adults, we try to control everything. Now, if you're an atheist and you don't believe in God, then I guess you have a problem, right? But for me, there's too much around me that I can't not believe in something greater than me. But the creative process, whatever it is that you do, whatever kind of art you do, singing, dancing, art, whatever, is a process where you're supposed to surrender, let go, trust. Because if we're trying to control everything, we're doing the same thing that we do in life. And this is something that's supposed to open us up. And even if it looks really bad, right? We're just scribbling. I have a friend who just paints with acrylic paints and a palette knife. And she just puts color on canvas, doesn't even think twice about it. And they're gorgeous because they're inspired by the divine. They're God breathed, really, is what I want to say. That's amazing.
Yeah. I mean, for me, it's always like, there are days when I cannot just sit down to paint, while there are days when I can paint for hours on end. And then there are those days when I paint, but I'm not happy and satisfied with the result. But then I think that, okay, this was maybe what was planned for me.
Right.
Maybe what had
to. I love
happen.
that. Yeah, because I think that happens even when I wrote my book. You have days when you feel inspired and stuff comes easily, and then other days you're like, I can't get anything. There are two ways you can look at that. Like, if you're not inspired, sometimes picking up your paintbrush or doing whatever you're going to do just makes you feel better. And again, if you're not painting for anybody in that moment, right, just for you, it's kind of like therapeutic, right? You just do whatever you're going to do. And that's beautiful. And I think the therapy process part of it, to make you feel better, because it can inspire you sometimes, but sometimes I do it and I don't get inspired. And sometimes I do it and I don't like what I'm putting down on the paper. And so I walk away and I just say, I'm not going to do this until I feel like I really, because I get ideas in the middle of my sleep too, So when I'm inspired, it's more fun, it's easier, it opens me up more. So you can really do it however it serves you best.
I agree. Similar has happened.
Just do it. Keep doing it.
I would do that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, something similar has happened for me as well, when I just, thought I could not do it, but I still did it and I was happy with the result. While the total opposite has also happened. And I wanted to do something, but it did not turn out how I wanted it to. I mean, it was both ways, I believe. Yeah.
Well, that's when you just have to say, okay, that's when we have to walk away. Because again, I want to share this little quote with you that my partner Joe said. We saw it someplace, and it was about, we always say, oh gosh, that's a mistake. I made a mistake, right? But we saw a quote from somebody that says mistakes are unconscious intentions. So in other words, what we think should happen isn't what is supposed to happen, or isn't what the divine wants it to have happen. It happens exactly the way it's supposed to. And I've made quote unquote mistakes in my art before, right? And then I'll paint over it. Like I'll say, well, I'll just pour a new one. And I hate it. I'm like, what did I do? Why did I ruin that? That was actually better than what I did now. So again, it's just that beautiful process of trusting, allowing, letting go, learning to say yes to whatever's in front of you on your canvas or whatever you're doing. Yeah. Okay. Maybe I don't like it, but somebody out there may love it. Right. Yeah.
That is true.
It's a hard process, but yeah.
But I agree with you 100%.
Yeah. I know. I feel you.
No, I mean, it's giving me chills just to hear you. And then I mean, what is it like to feel as well?
Yeah, I feel you too. I love your energy. I love your energy. I love your spirit. I love your questions. I love that your generation is so insightful, so much more than we were. So I'm hoping that you guys will save the planet.
I hope so too.
That's a big job, right? Paint like crazy. Just learn to let go and paint. That'll solve a lot of things.
Absolutely, yeah. It was lovely having you over, and I'm super honored to have you again.
I would love it. I enjoyed our time so much. Thank you so much.
I loved you answered everything. Especially, I mean, it gave me chills, so it makes everything better. Thank you so much for doing this again.
Oh, thank you for having me, and let me know how I can support you in any way.